Hey, what's up everyone? So today I wanted to talk about switching to Resolve. Lately I've been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube about how people are switching, how everyone's switching to DaVinci Resolve. And as someone who's been using Resolve since Resolve version, I think 7 or 8, I just wanted to give my 2 cents about what it's like moving from another editor. To kind of date myself a little bit, I actually started editing in Final Cut Pro 7. I moved to Premiere, I moved to Final Cut Pro 10. I've used a little bit of everything. I've actually edited 2 features on Premiere and a bunch of other little projects. So I have experience with Final Cut Pro 10, I have experience with Premiere, and now I have over 10 years experience using DaVinci Resolve as well. Okay, and so in no particular order, here are 7 big pros to using or switching to DaVinci Resolve. Number 1 is probably one that you will hear more than anything, and that is that it is absolutely free. There's no subscriptions, there's no extra fees. You have the free version and then you have the full studio version, which is $300 or $299. Honestly, I've used both. When I first started out using DaVinci Resolve, I started off with the free version. And I gotta say that it is, even to this day, it's probably 99% of the full version. The full version, I'm not gonna get too in-depth about the differences between the two, but basically the studio version is really intended for big studios or medium-sized studios. If it's just you or you and a few friends editing, then you probably won't miss those things. It's things like some OFX plugins, but to just do the work, a full feature-length film, edit in 4K or whatever, the free version will have you covered, plus it has a ton of other features, and it's free. You can download it, you can play with it. It's not like you have to switch over and you're screwed because now you're on this subscription thing that it's hard to cancel, or you paid hundreds of dollars. Just download the free version, and that's probably one of the best benefits of using this version. Okay, so now number 2, we're gonna get into something that is probably the most important, or one of the most important pros of using Resolve, and that is that it's just flat out a fast program. A lot of people will connect, a fast computer with a program running smoothly. I know with Premiere, you really have to muscle it through. You have to have like a super powerful system, a really strong graphics card. A lot of editors build their own machines because they're using Premiere. But you can go and just buy a laptop. You could use an older laptop. The great thing about DaVinci Resolve is that it's very fast because it's very scalable, and it's very resolution independent. It's got a lot of great features, which basically means that if you're using a slower machine, you will have a workflow, or there's a lot of features, just simple switches, simple settings you can do that will make it run super smooth and super fast when you're editing. I've personally had old laptops, and I've also had different things at home and in my office, and I'm always surprised how a slower machine can run, 4K footage pretty much just as smoothly as the full, super powerful machines. It really depends what you're doing, but one thing I will say is compared to Premiere, it is way faster. It's all software based. It's really about how well and efficient the software is designed and how much leverage it can get out of the hardware. You can have, a entry-level MacBook Air, drop in 4K footage, and it plays back smooth. If you're just doing like basic edits, with transitions and music and audio effects and even some titles, I think you'll have no issues working with a slower computer, because it's just software that takes advantage of the hardware to run much more efficiently. And you won't have as much of or actually you won't have any crashing. I can't think of the last time Resolve crashed. And I'm working with very high-end footage, really pushing it to its limits, doing, feature film grades with red footage, ARRI cameras, and I can't think of the last time it crashed. So that's one of the top reasons. It's very fast, very efficient. So right now we're talking about it's free and it's really fast. Okay, so reason number 3. This is one of the ones that, especially if you're coming from Premiere, you may not even get or understand what I mean by this, but it's just really DaVinci Resolve is a really smart program. We've all heard a lot about AI. It seems like we hear more and more about it every day, but DaVinci Resolve also takes advantage of AI features, things like, face tracking. You would not believe. When most people think of tracking or face tracking in a program, it sucks, it doesn't work well. You put a window on someone, and unless someone's just sitting here like this, looking straight into the lens, it really doesn't work that well. But with DaVinci Resolve, I never have issues putting a mask on there and tracking it, and the person can, turn left, right, and it just works really well. And it does that because it's using AI. Also things like the magic mask, which, it'll blow you away how well this works, where you can simply just draw a little mark on someone, isolate an entire part of someone's body from arms, legs, head, torso, and then make adjustments to just what's behind that person, just what's in front of that person, the different parts of the image. It's object aware, and if you don't know what these are, look them up, because I think it'll blow you away how smart DaVinci Resolve is to select very specific items in a shot and be able to make adjustments just to those items. Other ways that it uses AI is the insanely good voice isolation feature that's pretty new, but basically you could be at a loud concert, you can be outside with loud traffic, horrible audio, and just with a single click, it completely removes all of that background noise. So here's an example of the voice isolation feature. I'm actually standing here by this very loud AC unit, and now here we are with the voice isolation feature on. You can probably hear how much clearer my voice is. It just completely removed it using AI, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. Last thing I'll say, because there's actually a ton, I could probably do a whole video on this stuff, is sky replacement. If you ever shot something where the sky's totally blown out or it just doesn't look the way you want it to, DaVinci Resolve makes it very easy to just simply switch out the sky. It's that easy. And it also uses AI for that. So really smart features. Things that other programs just don't have, and if they do, they're not as simple, they're not as easy, and they're not as fast to use. And so basically all these things that I've talked about so far add up to a program that's free, that's fast, that's really smart, and that adds up to a program that's very full-featured. When you use it, and this is just my personal opinion, I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but when I use Premiere, I feel like I'm using a program from 1982. It's like a slow, clunky program that crashes, and it really feels like it's a video editor with all these other things kind of patchworked onto it. So yeah, basically it's a more full-featured program where you feel like you have a full-blown, editing program, sound program, VFX program, color grading program, and even a full page just for exporting and deliverables. Okay, and so I knew I said this was going to be mainly editing based, but as a colorist, I have to mention color grading. Obviously, DaVinci Resolve is known as a top-end world-class color grading program. That's what I use, obviously. That's what I have my control panel for and my whole suite set up for. I have, on some situations, used Premiere for color grading, and even though it has the color grading layout mode, just like it has its sound design mode, and a lot of people have graded a lot of things on Premiere, it's just flat out in a completely different league when you use DaVinci Resolve. Whenever I grade in Premiere, I just feel like it's very crude, it's very clunky, it's very slow, it's not very precise, because it wasn't built for that. It's just kind of like using a very blunt tool for when you're wanting very precise adjustments. So the obvious one here, coming from a colorist, is, you get a full-blown color grading program for free, and you don't have to go through the whole, if you hire a colorist, for example, or maybe if you do, grade it yourself in Resolve. At the moment, you don't have to go through the whole XML workflow where you have to export everything and clean up a timeline. You literally can go from editing your program to switching over to the color page, doing what you normally do a quick grade, apply a LUT, switch back to the edit. If you drop in new clips, you can bounce back and forth between the pages. So you want to really have those tools where you can really polish the footage and, you know, not feel like you're stuck in that smaller world that Premiere has for color. Okay, and so number 6, this is a pretty new one, and it may be one that most people are blowing off, but I have used it. I have used it for multiple projects just as a test. I might actually make a video about it later. Let me know if you're interested in that. But you can now get DaVinci Resolve for the iPad. You know, it works on slow, older iPads, and it works on the iPad Pro. Most of the videos you'll see online are, you know, with a brand new 13-inch iPad Pro with an M2 processor. I have the 11-inch with the M2 processor, and it works great with that. But I actually started out with just the basic iPad, which I think was the 9th generation iPad. And I found a workflow that was very smooth, very efficient. And I used that for a little bit. And then when I realized that, hey, this is actually a really useful program when you're, you know, just travel or when you're on the move and you just want to make some quick edits somewhere, like if you're at a coffee shop and you want to, you know, drop in your footage and just, you know, do rough cuts and that sort of thing. The iPad version is great, it's fast, and it's something that I'd highly recommend to use. It actually shaves off a lot of time on a project. We've all had situations where, you know, we're working on a project and you get an idea, or maybe you get notes from a client or something, and you just happen to be, you know, sitting in your living room or sitting somewhere. And, you know, just like everything else, like a portable mobile device, sometimes it's just way easier and way more comfortable to just be laying on the couch, laying in bed, or just being on the subway or a train. You pull out your iPad, you make those adjustments, and also, I can do a video about this. You can make it so that those adjustments sync to the cloud, and then on your workstation, you see those adjustments. On your MacBook, you see those adjustments, and they're also on the iPad. So another thing that's great for saving time, for making you more efficient and faster. Okay, and so number 7, the last one, and it's probably the main reason, or if I could put it so simply, that so many people are switching to Resolve, is that it just works. You bring in footage, you start cutting, you do a grade, you do sound design, and it's just smooth. You forget about the program. It's not an obstacle like a lot of other programs are, where they slow you down, they crash, they're clunky, and, you know, they're always in the way. Resolve is never just in the way. You use it, you edit, it's fast. The exports are also much, much faster than Premiere. And, you know, what better, easier way to put it than that the program just works. It does what you want it to do, and it does it fast and efficiently. So, okay, that was my 2 cents. You know, this is one of those things where, like, if you're using Premiere, you will probably hate anyone talking badly about Premiere. If you use Final Cut Pro, you'll hate that. This is just my 2 cents. I love it. I've used it forever. Like I said, I've just been seeing a lot of people switching. I have also seen a lot of, you know, in the professional world, a lot of, you know, clients that I work with switching to Resolve as well, which makes just the whole ecosystem, the whole workflow much faster for everyone. So hopefully you like this. Hopefully I didn't insult you in any way. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, subscribe, and I will see y'all later.